Good morning. We're back at you and gloves off. And today we have a great candidate for city council. His name is Joe Perez. Joe, good morning. How
Good
are we
morning.
doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing really well, awesome. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and talk about matters of public concern.
Okay.
Uh, and for the record, my name is Joe Perez, candidate for City Council District 2, running on the ballot of November.
Okay.
So, thank you very much.
No, thank you for being here. Number one, thank you for standing up. I tell everybody that runs that it's you all that are standing up to do something good in the future, okay? And it takes that special person to do that. Not everybody wants to be a candidate. Not everybody wants to be a public official, and it's hard once you get up there. And you're being attacked all constantly. So it takes a special person that wants to actually work for the community, and we thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. And that's something that's part of politics, unfortunately. But I've lived my life living a life of service for the people. And that's what I'm here trying to do.
You're a principal, correct?
That's correct. I've been a principal for about 8 years now.
Okay, what school is that?
Santo Niño Elementary.
Santo Niño. Did you grow up in South Laredo, or where did you grow up here in Laredo?
Actually, 2 blocks away from Santo Niño on Barrio Street.
On Barrio Street, sure.
Yes.
Sure. How is it that a principal says, you know what, now I've been helping my students here and directing here. How is it that Joe Perez wishes to be a city councilman? What happened?
Well, like I said, I mean, I've lived my life of service for the people for many years, and it didn't start off with me. It all started off with my father. My father was an elected official, city council from 1990 to 1998.
Sure.
And that was a whole family affair where he brought us in to do community events. And you know, my father always was the type of person that was always helping people. And that's what he instilled in us, you know, the love to help other people.
Sure. And you ran before, correct?
That's correct.
And what did you get out of that you're going to do different now, or say, you know what, now I'm going to change my ways of campaigning or the ways of going out there and reaching people?
Well, I mean, every race is different, and you learn from your previous mistakes. And so we try to strategize in a different format.
Sure.
Where you're working harder, where you're working smarter, not harder. And so we try to tackle on certain areas where we feel that we came a little bit lower in reference to the voter turnout.
Sure.
It's about educating people about how important it is for people to go out to vote, because we did have a very low poor turnout.
Correct.
But I think the circumstances will now be changing.
Why do you think we have a low turnout? What's your honest opinion?
It's voter apathy. People think that their votes are not going to count, that one vote doesn't make a difference. But if you look historically, my father, when he ran the county commissioner's race, he came out short by one vote. And so your vote does make a difference. And so that has been apparent in many other different races where, you know, a few votes do count. And so we need to continue motivating our public and making sure that they go out there and vote, and make sure that they communicate, you know, they communicate what it is that they want for our community.
Sure. What do you want for our community in general?
In general.
I know many come in here and they go, I'm voting for this part of Laredo, this district. But once you become a city councilman, you're actually representing Laredo in the
Exactly.
whole. What do you want from Laredo?
I want us to improve overall.
How?
To have a quality of life that's going to benefit Laredo as a whole, not just South Laredo, not just West Laredo, but the community. What is it that we're going to bring? How are we going to work together? How are we going to collaborate with the other city councilmen to make sure that we are doing the right thing for the right reasons? We need to have that circle of trust within us and bring back that integrity that is so much lacking in today's council.
Sure. How? Like everybody says, the well-being of living, for the good of living. What are we trying to bring in? We're going to try to bring in more jobs.
We need to entice many organizations, many companies to bring in their businesses to Laredo, Texas. We need to bring forth community events that's going to benefit our students of Laredo, making sure that we bring programs that will benefit, of course, our kids. Something that will help them be engaged and actively engaged in our community through, I don't know, through sports, whether it be football, baseball, soccer,
Sure.
boxing, karate, martial arts, and so forth.
Sure. That's something that is lacking here in Laredo. Our school, the districts are heavily infused in baseball, basketball, football, band, and cheerleading. That's it. So there's a lot of kids out there that do not have that ability, the size, or the physical attributes to meet some of these sports. But that doesn't mean they can't be boxers. That doesn't mean they can't be martial artists. That doesn't mean. So we're losing out on a lot. We don't have a wrestling program here, and they do in San Antonio. They do elsewhere. But I bet you if we had wrestling programs here in the school districts, we would have a tremendous turnout. Not only turnout, teams. Not the first year, the 2 years, but I'll tell you that in the long run, we'll have a very, very good wrestling team. You understand? But we don't have those traditions here. They're not brought. They don't look. When we look in the exterior of the schools and we start looking at the rec centers, they're not being used correctly. Oh, there's a lot of little programs for this and so on and so forth, Zumba for ladies and Tai Chi for the old folks, and that's taught out of a video, and stuff like that. But really the boxing is not taken. The martial arts are not taken. Yeah, they might have a couple of classes here, but they're not managed properly. They're losing out. We have tremendous facilities. Now they want to build another one, and they want to build another one. What for? If they cannot even fill the ones that they have. Understand?
Correct.
We have to revamp that.
We also have to understand that that's a part of planning things out correctly and having that vision of what is it that we want from this particular program. We need to look at the long run.
Sure.
Have we taken the preparation, the steps to make sure that its longevity is going to be in place?
I think people have the right heart, set, but they have no planning, And I think that's what you say. I think it's lack of communication. I think I think we have to revamp our departments within the city. I keep saying this over and over. We have a lot of directors that have been there longer than several councilmen, different terms. Some of them have been there 15 years, 20 years, 10 years. That's longer than a two-term candidate, So they can shine their boots for them as long as they have and do whatever they want, because that's basically they run it as their own business, some of these departments, and they're little de facto bosses, if you want to put it that way.
Right.
And that has to change. I don't know. I was talking to another candidate, and he said, well, who knows? Maybe we should flip them every 3 years. Maybe we should flip the director every 3 years. You know what? Let's get new ideas. Have it somewhere in their job description that says, you're only here for 3 years. So let's do the best. Let's bring some other ideas.
That's a good idea. However,
you know what I'm saying?
But you also have that flip side where you have a good director in that particular department where he or she is doing a good justice to that department, then you're going to switch them over, and then that department might go down again. You know what I mean? So, you got to look at every single aspect of.
But the majority of departments are doing not that good.
Yeah, but then you'll have just that one that is doing well, and
there's a lot of different ways to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at this. What will be the first jobs that you will try to bring here? What will be the first companies? How would you outreach to them?
Well, again, that's all a collaboration that needs to exist among all stakeholders. We need to bring in the community to make sure that they're also engaged in the process to see what is it that they want. Do we want more of a place for our kids to come in? Do we want businesses such as restaurants? What kind of restaurants do they want? It's something that must be worked out with the community. and along with all stakeholders.
Sure, sure. What do you see wrong? Because you say there's a lot of things that are not being done here. How would you go in there to a newly elected, let's say, you're a newly elected official, you're going in there in city council. How are you going to talk to the rest to kind of get this going forward?
Okay, so of course it's easier said than done, but I think many or a few that are sitting already as elected officials have bring in their own agendas for the wrong reasons. And so it's just a matter of collaborating, talking with them, speaking to them, and trying to change that particular mindset where we're all in it together. You fall, you fail, I fail. You fall, I fall. Because we are one. We are Laredo. And so if I don't prosper, then none of us are going to prosper. We got to be in it together. And that's the type of mindset that we need to change. We're in it together.
And that's not there right now.
And it's not there. Right now, it's a divided council. And we can't have it. Otherwise, Laredo's not going to prosper, as a whole.
You know, that's why we have 8 council members, and we have the mayor to break off the tie because we have different ideas, different opinions, different outviews. But I don't know what has occurred. You know, people say there's 5 on one side against 3, 4 against 4 at one time. It was 6 against 2, and the numbers are always changing. But not everybody's going to be in consensus with the ideas that are going to be moved forward for people to vote. You know, that's why we have that type of council up there. How can I say, there was some talk about the city manager and the mayor, bring back the power to the mayor. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think the mayor should have some kind of power. It's about having, it is a very, very critical issue that we currently are facing in city council. But I think everybody should have some kind of power, equal power among the entire council. But to say that, or to take away the power from the mayor, I don't think it should be appropriate or beneficial for our city, but not entirely. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I mean, we can't have one particular person have the entire power, but it's important for somebody to maintain some kind of
Order?
of order within the council.
And you don't think it's being done now?
I want to say that the
mean-
mayor is currently being overpowered by the city council, and he has no authority at the point.
I mean, he has the power to veto anything, no?
But they also have the power to overturn. I mean, that's politics not only locally, but
Sure.
nationally.
You know, Laredo changed from a strong mayor to a strong city manager government when we had all decades of the corruption that went on. And it was changed for that reason, for that not to occur again. But on the side, you can also have it flip on you, and I don't think it has now, but I think it has in the last 18 years. There's been some how can I say, power plays or power or the abuse of power in some of these individuals that have been in there. Yes, it has. It happens. We have to stop that, and how do we do that? We need to vote in people that are conscious. I was talking to somebody, and I said, what's the problem with the elections? And like you said, people have apathy. They don't want to go vote. They say it's corrupt. Okay. It's corrupt. Okay. I did 3 different polls. One of them had 200 people. And there was very few in comparison to the 200 that voted that actually thought that there was no type of fraud or corruption or manipulation of votes within our electoral system here. Then later on, I tried it again. And we had a fewer number that responded, you know, because usually what happens was a poll in Facebook. A lot of people didn't know that when you vote, your name actually comes out how you voted. Okay, so being Laredo the way it is, people are not going to vote if your name's going to be out there. They're going to hide, you know. And the number was less. But again, it was overpowering for the people that were voting for the belief of some type of fraud was going
Absolutely.
on. So people actually believe that there is fraud, you know, and thumbs up to our county judge and our senator for going up and start investigating these accusations of fraud or what they believe that there is out there. But how are we going to change that as a community?
Well, that's something that happens, locally, unfortunately, statewide and the national level.
Sure.
It's something that must be targeted in order to bring back the integrity of the people.
Sure.
And it's very difficult to pinpoint as to who or what are the individuals that are involved doing this, but starting some kind of investigation is certainly a great way to kickstart that particular movement that
That
must
resistance that needs
occur,
to come up, yeah.
because it's a system. That's a system in place that must be changed.
And it's a system, or is it a way? If it's a system, then there has to be some. If the system of fraud, if that's basically what we're trying to say, is there's a system of fraud that there has to be some true investigation, and people's heads need to roll.
Absolutely, because
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have to understand that it's not taking place with one person.
Sure, it's taking place with across the board.
Exactly.
What I don't see is that you have all these old folks home, and you got folks that have been. Some of them they can't talk. They're bedridden. Power of attorneys have been turned over, and they're still voting. If their power of attorney of the person has been given to somebody else, that means that person literally cannot think,
Absolutely.
and they're still voting.
And you also have people that have also been deceased and
Yeah,
still
they've been voting, and that's a problem. That's a
Absolutely.
problem. And when you have that group of people doing this, I mean, it needs to be stopped.
Not only that, but we've also come across several. When we're doing our block walking, we've also come across empty lots where people have been registered to vote
On empty lots.
on empty lots, and so it's just an eye opener for many people out there. Certainly, you wouldn't expect to find things of such nature, because one is trying to put on a campaign, with doing the right thing, and so you come across these things, and it's kind of discouraging. But we got to push forward especially for these type of reasons.
Sure, sure. It's sad. It's sad. How are you doing things now differently to kind of grasp those people that are not there, trying to gain the vote towards your side? ¿Qué estás haciendo diferente?
Well, we're doing a lot of block walking, talking to our constituents in the different areas, making sure that their voice is heard. Because many of us complain that so and so is not doing this and that, and then you look at their voting history, and they didn't go out to vote, and so we got to make sure that their voice is represented by going out to vote. And of course, once elected, I'll pull out very strong efforts to make sure that their voice is heard in the city council, and make sure that we address all the issues that are affecting our community.
Sure, sure, sure. What else would you change in your community? ¿Qué dices tú? In my district, we need to do this. ¿Qué?
Well, there's a lack of things that we need to address, such as the safety of our community. There's lack of police officers out there. The response time is over an hour. For, of course, the less serious crimes, but there have been times where officers themselves say, you know what, yes, I'm late because I was attending to another call, and so they encourage the citizens to go and complain. Go complain to my chief, or to my immediate supervisor that I took this long, because it behooves them to do that, because that means that it allows them to try to put in more manpower on the streets. And that's what we're lacking. And again, it's a systems thing. What happens is that many police officers are recruited, but at the same time, many are being promoted, taking them off the street, off the patrol car. And so it's a systems thing, but that's something that I might want to try to change because I would like to invest in the safety security of our citizens, first and foremost, before we bring back, things that are going to allow our kids, our citizens to have fun through parks or recreations. I mean, we can do that simultaneously, but we got to make sure that our kids are safe first.
And you feel that our kids are not safe?
For the most part, I think they are. They are.
I know they're safe within the schools, but
Within
when
the
they come
schools.
when they come out,
Not out in the community. Okay. Like again, we do live in a very rough neighborhood. I've been living there all my life, and things have evolved, and they have changed. Before, we used to roam around the streets and walk from our house to the school and back and so forth. And right now, that's something we can't do. Yeah.
why is that?
Because there's so many illegal things going on, close by. We have a lot of raids that go on, not on a daily basis, but maybe on a monthly basis. And having that on the back of your mind is not going to ensure that my kid is going to be safe out in the streets.
Sure.
Because, he could easily become a bystander.
Sure. So that's something that we do need to go in there. Since Monday to today, I've heard you're the fifth person that's told me that we need more safety on the streets. And I tell them why. There's a lot of police officers out there, but what's going on there? 3 of those said the response time. How can we better that? Do we need, as you said, more boots on the ground and stuff like this on the ground? How many stations do we have? Maybe there's something in the sectoring of it. Maybe there's something that the police really needs to start looking into. I know that personally that there's issues with people with stalking and threats and so on and so forth, that they place them in the back burner, then something happens and, oh, wait a minute, we had that last year. Well, if you would have gotten to it last year, we wouldn't have had this happen now.
Right.
Understand? Oh, it's waiting on this time, and we got more important things to do because so and so. No, you take care of business first. When it's the threat of somebody, the threat of a person, the threat that has to be taken seriously now.
Absolutely.
And people I think we have lost that here. ¿Entiendes? I think politics has played a role in some instances, and I think that we need to kind of grasp what's going on, and it's sad. It's sad, but, we do have great first responders. Don't get me wrong. We have very excellent first responders, and they'll be out there. But I think there has to be something more with the vigilance or the scene of the badges out there, because we have way too many badges here in Laredo. If you look at all the departments together, what do we have? A sheriffs and 4 constables
Right.
and railroad police and UISD police and LISD police and TAMIU police. And we have police all over the place. But I think there has to be a lot more presence.
Yeah. The question is, how are they being utilized?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
And I think that they all have to come down into an agreement and say, you know what, you're over here. Start looking,
Well, again, it's a collaboration that must exist between the city, county,
Sure.
and all entities, and so.
But that's good that you brought that up because that is a concern. I'm glad that you're looking at that because, like I said, that you're the fifth person. And so when one person tells you something, you kind of like this, 2, 3, you start paying attention.
Right,
Now 5
sure,
in one day, in 1 week, you're like, ¿qué pasó? There's something going on there. There's something going on there. How about drug no-use programs? Are you going to start enforcing that within the rec centers, trying to get more stuff like that out in the public?
Again, that's the only way to combat drugs, through making sure that we educate our young kids, our young children. In particular in the schools, we of course have
Sure.
the no drug programs and which we try to educate, but is that being enough? We need to be consistent across the community, not only just in schools, but everywhere our kids go. They're attending a particular event, why not, educate them, have a little a seminar, a little class for them
Sure.
to continue that momentum of not saying no to drugs and so forth, and educating them as what drugs will do to you if you do happen to be engaged in drug use. You know, for instance, you know, having a video on a person that's on drugs and how his cognitive abilities are being affected and so forth.
I think you're correct. I think we need to push that.
Because many times we just touch the bare surface and we don't go in depth, and I think that's what's lacking.
And we have to get kids out of those situations.
We need to break the cycle.
Yeah. That you have a house that's vacant next door, and that's where the drug use is used, and the kids are on this side. I mean, we have to eliminate all those houses. We have to, and I know the city's been doing that along with some of the other entities of our government. Have been doing some good,
Absolutely.
but I think we need to start focusing more on that. I always see people come out and say, we need a new park, we need a new theater, we need a new whatever. But I've yet to see somebody say, hey, you know what? I want to clean up this block of all the drug dealers.
Yeah.
I have yet to see somebody do that. You know what? I'm going to get a bunch of people and we're going to clean all the drug dealers out of this neighborhood. Nobody has stood up and said that. Not even the police, not even the sheriff, not even our constables. And, I know them personally.
Yeah.
And none of them have stood up and said, you know what? Today we're going to get up this morning and we're going to walk this street and get rid of all the drug dealers.
Easier said than done.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it'll work.
Yeah.
It'll work if it's done.
If it's done.
And I think, that's what we need. ¿Qué más? What else do you, Joe Perez, will bring to the table?
Well, like I said, I've been a principal for about 8 years now. Overall, I have about 18 years of experience living a life of service. And really, I'm running for city council to make sure that our needs are being met as a community, making sure that we bring back programs that are going to benefit our kids, benefit our men and women of our neighborhoods, make sure that we have something in place for everybody, even our elderly.
Sure.
How is it that we're trying to be proactive in making sure that our elderly's needs are being met. Many times where we have our elderly just sitting out on the porch not doing anything. Why? Because there isn't anything for them to do. How are we providing that service for them? Among many other things, of course. But also keep in mind that in doing this, I'm doing this on a volunteer basis, where I will not be getting paid for my service as a city councilman. I will be saving the city over $200,000 over the course of 4 years. And so all this is because I want to better my community.
Are you going to donate that money, or you're not
If
going to
it's possible, yes. But I'm not, given that I'm a public servant, working as an educator.
Sure.
I'm not allowed to touch that money.
Sure.
And so really, my heart is
In helping the community.
In helping the community.
Noble of you.
So, trying to do the right things for the right reasons.
It's awesome. It's awesome. When you go into council, and if things need to change, like on things on the charter, how would you approach that?
Can you elaborate on that?
There was some talk last year, the year before last, about changing, like we had talked about, strong city manager to the mayor having all the power, changing some other issues there that are in there. A question arose with crimes of moral turpitude. Are you going to try to define all that?
Oh, that must be defined. Otherwise, we have no ground, we have no basis upon which to guide ourselves by. We need to set the specific parameters in which the lingo is going to be based on. Because we may talk about certain particular aspects or perspectives. And if we don't have a foundation, if we don't have some kind of rubric to guide ourselves by, then why even discuss the issues? Again, we need to set the parameters that are going to they're going to set the foundation for that particular discussion.
Sure, sure. Anything else you want to bring into to your community before we part?
Before we part, well, again, alongside, bringing more activities for our kids, trying to improve our parks, trying to improve our safety, we also have to make sure that our community is welcomed. Let's try to bring in, more of a beautification towards our district, because, the South really has been forgotten for many years. And so we're not really enticing any more businesses to come our way. And that's what we need to try to do.
And I'm going to tell you something about, they say South Laredo. The city can only grow two ways. I mean, it can go north, but it's landlocked, so it's either going west or south right now, along the river. Okay? And the South has grown a lot in commercial sites and new neighborhoods and so on and so forth. So it's moving in a positive direction, okay? The beautification of it, I think, if time permits an allocation for that, I think that's where you come in, okay? Because there's been other city councilmen in the past that have forgotten. And I praise Councilman Perez, the other Perez that's here, because he's beautified the Heights area. An area that was old Laredo, a heart of Laredo, and is being beautified, brought up a little bit. People make fun of it because of the signs and so forth. No, that's what we're proud of. Same thing has to happen in some of the other neighborhoods. And eventually it's going to go, grow as Laredo grows, And we have to be a little bit more enhancement of the beauty. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you enter Laredo from Brownsville or Zapata or from South Texas, where do you enter Laredo from? The South. So if you come in there and it looks in shambles, what do you think the feeling of Laredo is?
Absolutely.
It has to be how can I say, that's where you're coming in from. The same thing happens from the north. The north has to be coming in here, but if they see a bunch of warehouses and people say, well, what am I entering?
What's going on here?
You know what I'm saying? So there has to be some type of beautification, of course. It is our city.
Absolutely.
And that needs to happen. And it has not happened yet. I don't know if somewhere along the line, whoever's marketing whatever in the city, they have not really paid attention to that. But if you enter some cities, you see a presence of, hey, I like to live here. You know what? I like to bring my company here. But we're not seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's must be addressed, something that is for further discussion. And I think given the fact that we'll be working together as a community through collaboration and so forth, I think that's something that can be established.
Well, you got great points, and I wish you good luck.
And again, I want to thank you for
thank you for
giving
standing
me
up
the
for the
opportunity.
community.
And so,
And enjoy your summer, because I know you guys are going back to school in a short bit.
yes.
And then
yes.
being in school and doing a campaign, it's going to be pretty hard for you. But
it can be done.
But it can be done. And we want to thank you.
Thank you very much.
Guys, until next time, you guys be safe. No drinking and driving, and no texting. All right, peace.